All right, happy Saturday morning, everybody. It's been an eventful Friday night. The last week of the regular season is in the books. Week number 11 has come to a close here in North Florida, and man, a great man. It went out with a bang. Honestly, there were so many great games from across the area, and we had a few teams that stayed unblemished, and then we had one unbeaten that unfortunately they couldn't maintain. It came down to the wire. But let's run through some of these scores. Coach, man, it was a great. I really felt like we had a great opportunity to call Florida High Mosley last night. Mosley came in with a really a good offensive line unit that man put Florida High to the test. And Florida High's defensive line unit really an unsung hero throughout the season. They really showed their mettle. And man, if you didn't catch that game, go ahead and log on to Full Quarters. Go ahead and watch what was arguably one of the better games of the year for Mosley. The Dolphins really came in with one of the better records, and man could not hang on to it as Florida High took that one. Snatched undefeated season away from the Dolphins, going away, scoring I think 14 unanswered to close the gap, and ended up coming out on top of Mosley 30. Excuse me, let me make sure I get that score correct. They
30
ended
to
up
27.
30 to 27. And let me go
Yep.
ahead and pull up the scores here so that we can make sure we have that pulled up for you. But man, it was just a great game. For the most part, there was so many different swings back and forth in that one. And my biggest thing is that there's always going to be a situation where you really want to make sure that you have your best players available. And I think for it being the last game of the season and very minimal injuries, I think we were treated to arguably one of the best games of the year. So let's back it up to Thursday night. Osceola Christian downs Franklin to remain undefeated. A perfect 10-0 for Coach Colby Roberts and the Osceola Christian Warriors as they down Franklin 28 to 12. And we had our eyes on that one. I felt like both teams were evenly matched, but Osceola proved to be the better of the two as they wrap up a perfect 10-0 season on the year.
That is amazing to me. They go through a whole season playing. I think they upped the competition a little bit this year, and they look like they're going to be a strong team to deal with going into the playoffs. And
Absolutely.
Coach Roberts has he's done a fantastic job at Osceola since he's been there. And man, they don't do nothing but get better and better every year.
Absolutely. So some Friday night scores for you, even though it's Saturday morning. Let's go ahead and run through these on Friday night. Swanee and Childs linked up, and man, that was a good one. Childs ends up on the losing end, unfortunately, in the Dogs, man. Look out. But man, Swanee has been able to cook up something here in the latter part of the season as they round out the year on a hot streak as they handle Childs in a close one, 25-24. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered down in Live Oak. Man, this is what you want going into the playoffs. You get hot at the right time, and you can really upend a lot of good teams that go on the streak. We'll never know what happens, but we'll find out as we get closer to the selection show in a week or two. We'll find out where Swanee gets placed in that bracket. But, man, for not being the district champion or being able to have that top spot, man, Swanee really proved why they are a playoff team. And for Childs, man, they gave Dogs all they were worth, but came out on the losing end, falling short by one as the Dogs take it 25-24. Man, let's go ahead and talk about our guys over on West Tennessee Street. Leon gets the first win on the year. Congrats to Coach Mosley. I know it was a long time coming. They got their number one signal caller back for the last game, and they upended Westside in a resounding way, 45-21. Congrats to Leon. I know they wanted the dub, and they got that one. Nobody wants to go winless on the year. Better to go 1-9 than to go 0-10. But for Leon, I think Coach Mosley is going to be able to take a little bit of the bright spots and kind of go back into the lab and see what they can begin working on for 2025. So congrats to Leon getting that first win on the year. We already talked about Florida High edging Mosley 30-27. Man, if you didn't catch it, go ahead and log on to Four Quarters Online. You can watch quarters, kind of the latter part of the first quarter all the way through the end. We had some technical difficulties in a brand new facility at Florida High, but it was a great game. Definitely got a chance to see why both teams are some of the most dominant in the area. Coach Witten, even though it's a probably frustrating loss, knowing that you had 10-0 right there on the line, they're going to get a chance to get some of that stuff cleaned up right before the playoffs. And for Florida High, you couldn't ask for anything better with the momentum going into the playoffs. Crosstown, Lincoln in a resounding way, and I'll tell you how this impacts the Mosley Niceville kind of scenario in a second. Downs Rickards 48-9, and for Lincoln, all the points that they can get because they have an opportunity to leapfrog given the Mosley loss and the way that Niceville played out in the Panhandle. Things could still get shaken up out there in that classification. So we'll keep our eye on how the point system comes out next week. But for the Trojans, that could be only beneficiary for them because they get a chance they could potentially leapfrog with the win over Rickards. For the Raiders, they were looking for a little bit of help out in Jacksonville with Middleburg and with North Marion playing. We'll keep an eye on those. We'll take a look at those scores and see if that affects the Raiders, as they were really on the outside looking in. So if they could get a little, if the points shake out the way that they do, the Raiders might be able to backdoor their way in. But otherwise, for Rickards, it kind of ended the season on a sour note with the 4-6 record. But there is still a sliver, albeit small, shot of opportunity for them. Excuse me.
Live
moving
TV.
on around the area. Godby falls on the road at Dothan in Alabama, and this is one of those rare season-ending interstate matchups. You don't see too many of these where you play your last game of the season out of state, but Cougars fall in a close one, 37-31 to Dothan on the road. Godby is the district champion, so they will have an opportunity to host. And for the most part, Godby still has everything in front of them, even though they fell in their last contest. Let's go ahead and talk about this one. This one was also a close one. Coach, I know you had your eyes on this one. It's Taylor County Edge McClay. And McClay, really a great showing down there in Perry. But the Bulldogs come out on top 35-28. And for this is really came at the right time for the Bulldogs because they wanted to end the season on a high note. McClay will take the benefit of playing the competition, as the rankings still have them in very high contention, even though they're not the district champion. But I think they were in a position where they might be hosting. So a lot of things being shaken up here in the last week of the regular season. Gaston County handled business in a resounding way against Wakulla, going into Crawfordville and coming out with a huge 49-6 win over the War Eagles. And man, for Gaston County, they just get better and better every week. And, looking at the momentum that they've got going into the playoffs, they still got a makeup game against Taylor County that they'll get a chance to get that one scheduled out of the way on Monday, I believe, the 4th.
Yeah, it's on Monday.
And that'll have huge implications on both sides for the bracket as well, because, at this point in the game, it's Gadsden County and everybody else playing catch up.
Yeah, it's Gadsden County. That game was locally on television here, and it really never was in doubt. And I was a bit of a surprise because, man, I know one of the toughest places to play a football game is in Wakulla, and they really it didn't matter to them. They just dominated the whole time. I think the one of the top players is the running back. His name's
Camarion Battles.
Yes, I should know Battles, right? And and he just dominated. I think he scored like 3 touchdowns. The game really was never in doubt. And what was not such a big surprise, but they really held Wakulla offense down too. Also, they scored a lot of points, and then they shut the Wakulla offense down, and really wasn't a close game at all.
Yeah, for Coach Ellington, I think he's got so many different weapons just to be able to make that team click. The strength of that team is definitely their ground game. Although their quarterback can sling it, it's almost like you can't really pick your poison with Gaston County. Defense plays ferocious on a different level. This could be a team we could see uh, at
Mm.
and I believe the bracket that they would fall in would be excuse me, their state championship location will be in the Villages, I think. So this is a team that we could definitely see down in the Villages come state championship time if they can stay healthy. So they've got all the momentum right now, and they showed it in a big way with the big victory, 49-6 over Wakulla. Houston County downs FAMU High, and the Baby Rattlers go winless on the season, 48-16. It always gets better, but just not this year for FAMU High. As a young football team is going to look to try and do some growing in the offseason. Port St. Joe blanks Jefferson County 45-0. And man, for the Tigers, they had a lot of momentum built up and just kind of slid backwards with some better teams that they faced competition-wise on the latter part of the season. But I think they were needing some help. So we'll have to take a look at how the point system rankings come out next week and see what the Tigers need to do. If anything, they may be the beneficiary of some of these bonus games, depending on how things shake out. Lake City, Columbia blanks North Miami Beach 42-0. Baker handles Vernon 34-7, and Madison County up big over Lake Mineola 47-7. And for Madison, this is business as usual, as they've been able to bounce back from a couple of tough losses midway through the season and kind of go on a little hot streak. And they look like one of the teams to beat in the 1A rule.
Yeah, that's not unusual. They either in the state championship or playing in the semis every year, so not something that's a surprise. But playing when you go, I'm not sure the classification of Lake Minneola, but they always playing up. They always play a tough schedule, and it prepares them for the playoffs. So I don't think too many people want to be in the bracket with them.
No, I would say that Madison is obviously, still a dominant team, great program. But the next game that we're going to get to, Lafayette, all over Chipley, 48-7, and that
Big
was on
surprise.
the road. Man, Lafayette looks like
I watched that game, Mark. I was totally surprised. I thought it was going to be an evenly matched game, but they just dominated the game. It really wasn't. It's like they were playing for their playoff lives, and Chipley just was okay. We're here. They didn't seem to have much enthusiasm playing the game.
Man, Lafayette looks like one of the scariest teams in 1A Rural right now. I would not be wanting to play them in the first two rounds. They look like they have really put together or found their rhythm. And this is a team that has played up throughout the regular season, had tough games against Chiefland and quite a few other teams out of the Gainesville area and in the North Florida area. So, man, Lafayette could be one of those teams that really shock some people going into the playoffs because they are on a hot streak right now, as they up in Chipley 48-7 away from Mayo. Mariana, no surprise here, 54-22 over South Walton, and the Bulldogs finished the season a perfect 10-0 on the year. And then really, give credit to their defense that really hung tough going down the stretch. But man, this is a team that is a ground game juggernaut, and it's going to be very interesting because they are in the same classification as Gaston County and a couple of other powerhouses. So we're going to get a treat come playoff time when we see these teams match up in the first two rounds in the playoffs. Cottondale handles Joshua Christian 64-6, and there's another undefeated team. How about that? 2 10-0 teams in Jackson County. I don't know when the last time that's happened. But,
right down 90, Mark, going down 90. They can just get in the car, make a left or right turn, and get to where they got to go, man. That's unbelievable that you have. And some special, I guess they can run the football and play quarterback over there.
Absolutely. When you have 2 10-0 teams in the same county, there's something special out there. I think the last 10-0 team I remember was probably Graceville in the early 2000s going 10-0. But, man, football is back in a big way in Jackson County. I know they're super excited out there in that part of the Panhandle. Walton handles Bluntstown in a big way. And Bluntstown, man, I thought that this game might have been a little bit closer, but Walton showed exactly why they are one of the teams to beat as they handled the Tigers 48-7. And, Bettenhausen and crew had a offensive showcase, put on a clinic against the Tigers. And, they were, I don't want to say jockeying for position, but They were behind Pensacola Catholic as not the district champion, but this definitely added to their resume going into playoff time. Central upends Wewa Hitchcock. I'm calling this an upset because Central was winless. And Wewa Hitchcock definitely had some of the momentum in the game as the Gators fall to the Central Jaguars out of Milton 34-28. So that was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, that was surprising. I think you picked that team too.
No, I think I went
Yeah,
with the Gators.
Oh, that was the other game.
Yeah, I went with the Gators. So I think that was your pick, actually. I think you flipped. Rounding out the scores, Freeport downs Liberty 42-21 as the Freeport Bulldogs end up with close out the regular season with the win. Liberty County closes out their season with a 2-8 record, I believe. Holmes County wins over Opp on the road 36-32. And man, that's just what Holmes County needs to kind of pad their resume a little bit as we get closer to the playoffs. As the Blue Devils, still a great football team, just kind of stumbled a little bit going down the stretch here in the latter part of the season, but they are still hanging tough. And we'll see it again. We're going to see how the points shake up everything come next week and see what some of these teams are going to be looking like come playoff time. Branford handles Hamilton County 39-12 and Sneeze, a big winner to close out the regular season over North Bay Haven. Winless North Bay Haven 33-6, and that'll do it for your week number 11 scores. Congrats to the 10-0 teams that got it done. I don't care. 10-0 is 10-0. It's hard to do it week in and week out like that, but we got great playoff football on deck. And, really, I'm looking forward to this bonus week, Coach.
Yeah, I think it's a game. We got a game Monday, Thursday, and maybe some on Friday, and in our area, which is exciting because we still got some more football, and then we got big football when the playoffs kick in. I'm excited. I don't know what game I'll be looking at, and it'll be determined by locality, location, and how we feeling at 4 quarters online and getting excited.
Absolutely. So we'll have it all broken down on the Extra Point podcast on Wednesday. So please catch us there where we will have playoff preview on deck and everything broken down from week number 11. So until then, this has been Overtime, the 4Q Rapid Reaction Scoreboard show on Saturday morning instead of Friday night. But we need to get some beauty rest. So this is what we do around here. But we'll catch everybody next week on Wednesday on the Extra Point podcast. Until then, this is my tag team partner, Coach Cofield, and we are 4 Quarters Online. We'll see everybody on Wednesday night.